Seruan wawasan negara unggul di mata dunia. Langkah seiring mengejar cita di hari muka, kan terus maju bersama menuju cahaya ketulusan jiwa, semangat berusaha unggul di mata dunia. Ke puncak menara dituju, keunggulan cita yang luhur, melangkah kita bersama, bersatu, bersinar bermata negara, dikagumi serata dunia, selamanya kan gemilang di persada dunia multimedia. Langkah seiring mengejar cita di hari muka, kan terus maju bersama menuju cahaya ketulusan jiwa, semangat berusaha unggul di mata dunia. Ke puncak menara dituju, keunggulan cita yang luhur, melangkah kita bersama, bersatu, bersinar bermata negara, dikagumi serata dunia, selamanya dan gemilang di persada dunia multimedia. Terunggu di mata dunia.
Welcome to today's talk. Cases of domestic violence are on the rise and have quickly become a social endemic.
And gentlemen, my name is Shafika and I will be your host for today. I would like to welcome you all to today's talk entitled Ask a Lawyer, Domestic Violence and Children. It is a pleasure to have you all joining us today. This talk is a continuation on the previous session held on 27th of May 2021, entitled Ask a Lawyer, Domestic Violence. For your information, this talk will be streamed live on MMU Multimedia YouTube channel and Multimedia University Facebook page. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, tag, and share this Facebook Live with all your family and friends. Previously, we had tackled the basics on what is actually domestic violence and what to do if you're a victim of domestic violence. There are many avenues that victims can ask for help, such as calling the Talian Noor 15999 or ask for help from trusted family and friends, as well as goes to emergency centers located at emergency rooms at each of government hospitals throughout the nation. Statistics have shown that since the existence of the pandemic COVID-19, the cases of domestic violence has increased due to the fact that everyone is at home and stress has accumulated. And this is very bad towards all of us. The most important thing to remember is that the act of leaving an abuser is an act of courage. Now, I would like to introduce our stunning speaker for today, Dr. Nitya Tiahan. She had completed her primary education at SK Bandar Tenggara, Johor. She then proceeded to complete her secondary education at SK Bandar Tenggara, SMK Bandar Tenggara, Johor and SMK Tinggi Keluang, Johor. She then completed her Bachelor's of Law from MMU, class of 2009, and was later admitted to the Malaysian Bar in July 2010 and had become a member of the Selangor State Bar ever since. Dr. Nitya had been a practicing lawyer for 12 years with areas of expertise including conveyancing, family dispute, divorce, child sexual abuse, and child custody. She also founded the Child Guard Malaysia Volunteer Movement. With that, I give you Dr. Nitya.
Good day, everyone. Good to see you all again. Thank you, Ms. Shafika, for the introduction. In our previous session, we have discussed what is domestic violence, types of domestic violence, and what a victim should do when such abuse takes place. Okay, this domestic violence issue has a great effect to societies and nations. If left unaddressed, these human rights violations pose serious consequences for current and future generations. For an effective response to this violence, the government, non-governmental organizations, that is NGO, and the public must work together to end this domestic violence. Okay, today let's move on. Let's talk about the impact of domestic on children. Meaning previously we have addressed about spouses, women, and adults. So today we focus on the impact of this domestic violence on children. And of course, as all of us know, it imposes negative effects on the growing children since they had directly or indirectly been abused in violent incidents. So move on to the next slide, where children who are exposed to domestic violence experience emotional, mental, and social damage that can affect their growth, their developmental growth. Some children lose the ability to feel empathy for others. And some they feel socially isolated. They unable to make friends as easily due to social discomfort or confusion over what is acceptable. you know and we must understand that each child may respond to witnessing abuse in different ways. Okay, some of them they feel so powerless, and they may become anxious or depressed. They may become angry or aggressive. Also, they might feel really sad and lonely. Some others are being confused, guilty, or afraid. Okay, they may internalize their distress and withdraw from other people. And we always think it's only affecting the kids emotionally. They're very sad, they're angry, and all this. But on the other hand, they may also have physical symptoms such as tummy aches, have difficulty sleeping, nightmares, and may start to wet their bed. They may also have an eating disorder. So these are the things that we consider is very, very negative towards the children. Okay, so move on to the next slide. Okay, we always talk when it comes to child, we always think child below 12 years old, or we always imagine children that 5 years old, 6 years old, who are small kids. But how about the older children? How about the teenagers? Okay, let's address about older children here. They may begin to turn their focus on something negative to get themselves distracted, like they start to consume alcohol or use of drugs. Okay, meaning they just want to get distracted. They just can't take whatever that's going on in their home. So also when they are growing in their teenage or young adult period, they will tend to be in a relationship that is abusive, be as an abuser or the victim. Okay, so move on to the next slide. For a child, we must remember that domestic violence lasts a lifetime. Okay, so we must look into this matter very serious, because there are so many children who actually begin to self-harm by taking overdose of drug, or I've came across cases where they cut themselves, so where I feel it has high chances it will lead to a suicidal thoughts. So we must remember that these children are not merely innocent bystanders, they are the victims. Okay, so we remember here, it's not necessary the thing should happen to us when we were children. So for us to address this issue, it's just that you must emotionally connected to them to understand how they feel at the moment. So then only you'll be able to think of, okay, what help we should give them. Okay, before we move on to the next part, let me pass back to Ms. Shaka.
Thank you, Dr. Nitya. And with that, we shall have a break and see a promo regarding MMU Virtual Info Day.
Spend your weekends in the month of July with MMU. Every weekend in July, beginning tomorrow, we will be having the MMU Virtual Info Day, #MMUV, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. SPM Pro Max candidates and STPM 2020 candidates are invited to join these sessions to find your best options to pursue your studies. All our series of webinars and online workshops are free with no obligations but limited seats. Schedule for a session with our friendly academic advisors for a more personalized interaction. Looking forward to have you at #MMUV happening all weekends in July 2021. Be part of MMU because MMU is you leading the digital future.
Just now, we wanted to remind you guys to come and join us for MMU Virtual Info Day. You shall have an insight on what it is to be a student in MMU. With that, we continue our talk and I shall pass back to Dr. Nitya.
All right, let's continue. Okay, before the break, I have I've shared with all of you about the mental health and the physical health of children who being in a violence environment. Okay, so let's move on to the legal part of this issue. Okay, in 1994, the Malaysian government finally recognized domestic violence as a serious public issue and enacted the Domestic Violence Act 1994. Okay, and I'm sure some of you will be wondering whether before 1994 there was no law, to address this domestic violence issue. No, we had, meaning the domestic violence cases will be addressed under the penal code. So when the cases are getting serious and serious, so the government have decided come up with totally a different separate bill. That is the Domestic Violence Act 1994. So it is enforced for the management and prevention of domestic violence, whereby the victims can seek protection against further abuse by the abuser. So remember during our first session, the previous session, I mentioned where the victims can seek for protection order from the court. So these are all governed under the act. Okay, so this act applies to immediate family members, including spouses, ex-spouses, de facto spouses, children, including adopted children, adults with mental or physical disabilities, and any person considered part of the family. And here, importantly, this act applies to everyone, Muslims, non-Muslims, citizens, or non-citizens. Okay, this act is to read together with the penal code for charges and to be made against the abuser. Okay, examples of charges are as in the table, as you can see in the slide, which have been made against domestic violence offenders. Okay, so these are the sections that specifically about causing hurt, or so, and what are the sentences for those offenses. Okay, let's move on. In my experience, right, a lot of people will come and ask me like, hi madam, if I'm the victim, what I should do, if somebody that I know is a victim, what they should do. So in my experience, I've come up with the research and studies and all this. So the legal procedures are very very simple. It's just you need to go and you just need to go and do your search, okay, or you just reach out to somebody. So let's discuss what are the legal procedures to be taken whenever there is a domestic violence case, especially when it involves a child. Okay, like I mentioned in earlier session, first they must go to police station or get neighbors help to reach to the police. Okay, I understand as a layman it is not as easy as I say to go to walk into the police station. Okay, I'm very sure, especially when you are the victim, you'll be like very in fear, you'll be very afraid. So at least reach out to your neighbor or try to pass the message to somebody that you trust. Okay, or you have another option. If you want to know what are the proper procedure, you may seek advice from any lawyer near to your place. Okay, I believe everyone has access to phone, so you can just Google lawyer near me, so you can just contact the lawyer, and I'm very sure the lawyer would assist the victim throughout the process. Okay, at least get done the police report part. Okay, once the police report done, the IO will investigate, the whole process will go on. And then further, the court procedures will start with mentions, trials, and so on. Throughout this whole process, the DPP will guide you, or even you can have your own lawyer also to get some guidance. So at the end, the court will come to a decision whether the accused is guilty or innocent. Okay. Okay. On the other hand, like I mentioned earlier, where there is a child or children involved, the social welfare department, that is JKM, will get involved, and if it is necessary, if the child's safety is in stake, it will take the child away with a court order. Okay, meaning we have to put what's the best interest for the child. And I would like to take an opportunity here to thank all NGOs and activists for keep voicing out and fighting against this domestic violence, as well as creating awareness among public on the seriousness of this matter. Okay, please remember that you should not. I mean, you may not be the victim, but to understand what they're going through, but at least try to get connected with them emotionally, meaning especially all the lawyers here, all the police, you don't need to be an activist to voice out all this. You can at least join together with NGOs or some other activists for you to create awareness around. Okay, and okay, as a woman and a lawyer and also the president of the Malaysian Humanitarian and Welfare Association, I have the opportunity to meet with representatives from around the world, with government officials, as well as the civil society groups to discuss and address this domestic violence issue. So, and actually, we have came up with a few suggestions, few arrangements or amendments regarding domestic violence law. So it's ongoing process, and for this, we really need the public's cooperation, where please come out to speak about, to address about this issue, so that everybody will aware how serious is this issue, especially now during this pandemic MCO. And I'm sure now it's getting harder and harder for everyone, by staying at home. And imagine the victim is actually stuck with the abuser now, and they have no access to outside world. Okay, please remember that and try to do something. So for the past few years, I've handled thousands of domestic violence cases, okay, that also involving children. For example, I have handled a case where the mother gave away her children to orphanage, just to protect them from her husband that being abusive. So it's not easy for a mother, like just to give away the child, but all she was concerned about the child's safety, okay, and she had no other choice than give away the child. And until now, I've been following up with the children, whoever, that the cases that I've been handling. And another example is where I had to refer this child to a child psychiatrist because she was in a severe trauma, okay, and she was 7 years old about that time. And her situation was very bad. So like who like I asked myself a question, like, if I don't address this issue, if I don't handle her or refer her to someone, professional, so who would actually will take her? So instead of pointing finger or blaming others, why they never do anything, why government never do anything, whoever it is, let's ask ourselves the question, what I should do, why not I do it? So that's how I started my journey. Okay, so I really wish I can share a lot more with everyone. And I have so much of cases. If you all like want to know more about this, you just stay tuned to Permata Dunia, where we will come up more and more episodes. And that's all from me today. And thank you, Multimedia University from Permata Dunia, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with everyone. Back to our moderator, Miss Shafika.
Thank you, Dr. Nitya, for that very insightful, fruitful discussion regarding our topic for today. So I have a few questions from the floor that perhaps Dr. Nitya could enlighten us upon. the first question is, what are the signs to look out for by neighbors in children affected by domestic violence? Like, if for as a neighbor, like, what how can you detect that children uh is stuck in a family that is having domestic violence problem?
All right. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, let's say one of our neighbors' child, there's something wrong with the child. How to identify? Okay, first of all of us know very well how usually a normal child will behave. They'll be very cheerful, very playful. They can be very naughty, active. So when you see your neighbor's child who used to be very active and all this, but somehow suddenly there are changes of behaviors. For example, being so quiet, you can actually notice. It's just all you need to do is observe the behaviors. So from so active, so cheerful kid, and then they suddenly became very dull, very sad, very quiet, especially once they become quiet, meaning something is just not right. Okay, you try to approach the kid slowly. Okay, there are ways you try to gain the trust first from the child. So once the child trusts you, then the child will be able to share what is actually going on. So that's actually my tips for you as a neighbor.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nitya. Moving on to the next question is, what is the most convincing way, or what is the most appropriate manner to persuade um, these victims to actually make a report or come forward? Like, what is the most appropriate manner to persuade them?
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, here, gain the trust is very, very important. Okay, because they are already in a very difficult situation. So for them to be able to open up to somebody is not that easy. So you must actually gain the trust. Like try to talk to them. Be their friend first. Try to be their somebody they can actually rely on. Okay, so then once you have become friend and once they start to open up to you, then you explain to them what are the procedures and everything, that you have to convince them that it is time, to stop all this, and it is time for you to make the police report. Okay, I'm very sure, like in our previous session, I have explained thoroughly about why this victim, like they not coming out from the abusive relationship. Okay, there are so many reasons there, but if you ask me, no, they should not ever be in such relationship. Okay, it is all in our hands how to actually handle them, to convince them. So you have to give them the surety, meaning after we make the police report, your life going to be better, or you're going to be in a safer place. Okay, the safety here is the important part. Okay, once they feel they'll be very safe after lodge the police report, everything, then I'm very sure they will come out to make the report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nitya, on that. I still have a few more questions from the floor. So moving on, what are your advice that you would give to those currently experiencing the violence and unable to report or get outside help? Meaning they are either locked inside their houses, or they are constrained in so many manners, like financial, they have been their communication with outsiders have been cut off. So what are your advice to those people who unable to ask for help currently?
Okay. We have only two options here for the victims, where either through communication through the technology, either phone or something. Okay, like you mentioned, if they don't have such devices or something, Again, I'm telling you, the only way for them to reach out for help, the closest that they can communicate is the neighbor. Okay, they have to work, they have to put some effort if they really want to come out from these sufferings. So the neighbors, like what ourselves as a neighbor, please look out each other. Okay, try to observe what is there anything odd is happening, is going on in the neighbor's house or something, so you try to like try not to peek but observe. Okay, there's a difference. So you try to observe what's happening and all this. So as the victim, you have to put effort, if you keep sitting there and just crying the whole day, it's not going to make any changes until and unless you reach out for help. Okay, so that is why all these government departments, all these NGOs and activists, we are waiting here to help you. We have opened our hands to help you. So all you need to do is reach out for help. Just give us a call. Just let somebody know what's happening in your life.
All right. So moving on to our next question. Based on your experience, Dr. Nitya, how often does this act of violence occur in Malaysia, and how concerning is this issue? Because you have been in practice for 12 years and counting. So how do you see your kind of like a progress on when you first started practicing and until now? And how often in this can you tell us that violence occur in Malaysia?
Okay, all right. Domestic violence has been there for so long, since those days until this very day, until this MCO moment and all this. And I'm very sure you all aware that during MCO, these cases are, has been rising. So if you ask me about the statistics and how the cases, it depends. Depends in sense like the more people come out, share about it, the more we know about this issue. So imagine if nobody is actually raising this issue or reaching out or for help or coming out telling their stories. So nobody would know. So everybody will be thinking, oh, how nice is this world? Everybody have living a happy life in their home. So until and unless they decided to talk, to share. So why I keep repeating that these victims must reach out for help and start to reach out for help, so that they will help other victims. They'll be the inspiration, or they'll be the perfect example for other victims also to come out and share their stories. Okay, to seek for help. Okay, so we cannot say the cases has been increasing or decreasing. It depends, actually. It depends. And as for now, during this pandemic, it's been very, it's, uh, it's very sad actually, since they can't go out. They are just stuck with the abuser. So I think all of us, we have to work together, to help them.
All right. Moving on to our next question, Dr. Nitya. During this pandemic, what would you say to those who are being abused and afraid of being caught by the police? How would you approach these children? Because we know since we have this pandemic going around, there's lockdown. So we cannot go out of our houses. Therefore, it makes it very difficult for these victims, regardless of whether the partners itself or the children itself, to go and approach the police. So if these people are stuck in this situation, what would you say to them?
Okay. Okay, I understand this pandemic, this MCO and all that, we can't go out anywhere, we can't travel and everything. So since we are all stuck in our home, like I mentioned earlier, why don't we try to, look after each other? Our neighbors, they are our neighbors after all, they are not strangers. We try to look for, look out for each other. And we have our government talian note 15999. If the victim can reach out for the government help, or there are so many ways for them to reach out for help. It's like we can't actually say that they have no access. They have. It's just that it's about making effort. They have to put at least 1% of effort to seek for help. Yeah.
All right. So we have our last question for today. What do you think of the movement of people raising awareness of lifting their fist or raising three fingers or even raising their hand as a symbol that they are abused? Because as you can see in social media nowadays, there are some videos that shows that these victims are showing fingers, like three fingers or four fingers, to signal that they are actually uh, abused. So um, with that signal, people know and people can help them. So what is your opinion on this movement to raise awareness regarding these signs?
All right. Any movement regarding raising awareness for domestic violence, actually most welcomed here. Okay, let it be any movement or any types of awareness, it is most welcome here. Like what you mentioned, the finger signals and hand signals and all this. But the question here, how many of us know about it? Even though we have access to social media every day, how many of us actually aware of these hand signals? So we have to put some effort here. It's not only about our businesses. We lost our job. We have to, increase our economy back and all this. But at the same time, there are so many people suffering in silence. Okay, so this kind of awareness, okay, the why this we are talking about this kind of awareness. One, of course, we can save so many victims. And one more thing, the more and more victims come out and make report, so the government will actually aware, okay, these cases, this matter is getting serious. So at least our government will make a drastic move or drastic decision in future to change or to amend the law, okay, to make it more strict, or to, or any other kind of services or help to reach out to the victims. So that is why I'm stressing for the victims to go and lodge police report. And this kind of awareness, this social media awareness, all are really really good. I really love all the awareness programs that they are doing it right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nitya, for giving us all the insights and the view about really what is going on behind closed doors in Malaysia. So with that, I would like to address again and emphasize on the fact that if you are a victim, don't be shy, don't be scared to ask for help. From my previous experience, I had done my legal attachment in court. I have seen face to face with cases of domestic violence, whereby at the end of the day, in front of the judge, the victims decided to dismiss the case, to drop every and any charges against the abuser. Because why? Because the victims know and still feel that there is a chance that the abuser can change, or the victims feel pity about the children from that relationship, and etc. But you need to conceive to the fact that if you do that, then you are putting yourself in danger, and you need to always think about safety first before you do anything or everything, even if for everyone else, but you need to think about your own safety first. And with that, I thank you all for your attention, time, your effort to watch our talk for today, and I hope to see you in MMU Virtual Info Day and on the next series of our webinars. And don't forget to give this talk a share to all your family and friends. With that, I bid you all to have a nice day. Thank you.